Hey guys, John with Rural Homesteaders here. Trying to figure out the solution to my Starlink being on full-time in the back of my vehicle, using one of my jackeries to power it and using a 200-watt solar panel or some other solar panel to keep enough oxygen in there for it to run. So I'm actually electricity, but so what I'm doing is I've been running into trouble with the one on top not working with some of my smaller jackeries. So I brought my biggest jackery out and I'm testing that out. I've also got a Saga 200 here. I've got this Saga 100. It's the solar Saga that I've had out with my chicken coops for over a year, just hanging like that, getting power to my chicken coop. So let's start with that one and talk about that one for a minute. So that's a solar Saga 100. It's a hazy day out right now. As you can see, there's a bunch of clouds up there, so it's not really sunny, but it's a little sunny. So I'm running that into this jackery here, and I've got 26 watts on that. This is the one I'm actually running my Starlink off of. That's my router for the Starlink. The Starlink is mounted on the roof. It's the standard one. I also have the mini right there in that backpack, but I'm not using the mini. The mini is for emergencies. It's not going to be powered off of my truck all the time. So I'm using roughly 50 watts using this DC inverter that I got to power the router. It'll also power the mini, and that gives me the ability to go DC instead of AC because it takes less voltage using DC than plugging in and turning the AC on all the time. So the 200 watt Saga, which is this guy right down here, which folds out and it's got 4 panels on it. Problem I run in with that is those 4 panels make it so long, it's longer than the top of my truck. So I would have an issue getting that up there. Right now I'm at about 50 watts pulling off of that as far as the draw. And then the one that I've got off of the roof, which is these double connectors right here that come down, that one's running at about 56 watts right now. I've got something plugged into it just to get a draw so that I can make sure that this thing is working. But if I've got 56 there and this one is taking 50 to 60, then I'm almost even on a cloudy day. And I could live with that. I think that'll work. Now the problem I ran into is the solar panel I have on the roof wouldn't work with this jackery 300. It wouldn't, when I plugged it in, it wouldn't power up. It also wouldn't power up this jackery 200, nor would it work with my jackery 1000 until I got a change inverter. So I got one. I got this 30 watt change inverter for it, the controller. Plug that in with this, and the only one that it would work with was this little one here, the 300. It would charge it, but then it kept falling back and forth. So that wasn't going to work long term, and it was only giving me about 20 watts no matter what I did with this change controller. That's all it was giving me. So I decided I'm not going to live with that. That's just not going to work. I did find out after I brought out my 1500 though, that getting a different barrel connector for it here allowed me to daisy chain that together, and now it's pulling enough wattage in without using that change controller at all. And I've also got a couple other things that are just turned on, which is drawing, but it's not helping with the input. But by putting that other barrel connector on there, it did help, and now I'm able to do what I needed to do on it. It does have a double input, so what I'm thinking is finding another connection, jumpering it off of this and plug it into that, and seeing if I can get that second barrel connector to plug in and give me any additional wattage off of the second line. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. I think that'll work. And then I've got a bunch of these 30-foot Cat 6A connectors. I've got some adapters that'll plug into these so I can extend this guy and move it out into the field wherever I'm parked, so that I can park the vehicle in the sun to make sure I've got the electricity coming into it. But then if I need better signal, I can put this out up on a hill further or in a tree or wherever I need to, so that that'll get better coverage. So that's kind of what we're working on today, just figuring this out and kind of finally putting this to bed, getting the build put in, and then cleaning the truck out and mounting whichever jackery I need to into it somehow, so that it's in there but it's not bouncing around and I'm able to get to it when I need to. Thanks for bearing with me and going along the journey with me on the jackery solution with the solar panel and using the Starlink standard on the roof.